And this is why I'm bothering. Hello again. Now, living on a narrowboat is indeed one of the great life experiences. The freedom, the fresh air, the limited space. Here's a problem I've been waiting to tackle for quite some little while. Those wall warts that we know not what they're for any longer, and all the mains plugs and various different bits and pieces, I don't know, audio leads and USB cables, all that kind of stuff I've got here on my little TV cabinet. I've made the decision this afternoon I'm going to sort all this out, so I'm pulling everything out. I'm going to find out what it all is, what indeed I actually use and what I need, and then I'm going to put it back all nice and tidily. Now, won't that be a satisfying little task? Now, while I'm doing this, we'll have a little chat about all the various things, what they are, why you need them, and anything sort of boaty about them. And this is why I'm bothering. I mean, just look at the state of all this. What is it all? As you can see, I've started unplugging it all, but it won't come apart. Everything's tangled into everything about 10 times over. I've no idea how it got like that. But I'm going to get to the bottom of it, that's for sure. First of all, I'm unplugging all the leads and putting them to one side. There's USB, audio in the form of jacks and phonos, HDMI, UHF, speaker cable, and of course, power leads. I'm working in limited space, so it's important to keep tidy as I go. I'm not sure how everything got so tangled up. I suppose I've added stuff as I've gone along and it's just gotten like that. I mean, really? Do I even use half of this stuff? That I've never used, but I've been meaning to. Now's the time. There. Several remote controls too. They could do with a good clean. USB sticks, I wonder where they've gone to. Let's put that down there for a moment. We can give things a bit of a clean. Boy, it's dusty. I do have a hoover, but quite often I just use this little brush and pan. No! The dreaded has happened. Ah! Now, I've been wondering where that had got to. That is the receiver thingy for a mouse, a keyboard mouse that I've got. And I normally keep it sellotaped onto the mouse. It's just a spare mouse, just in case I need a spare mouse for anything. And I've been wondering where on earth this had gone. And of course, sure enough, it's hiding at the back of the television unit under a 22mm pipe. Well, wouldn't you know it? Oh, do you believe it? I'm nearly out of Mr. Sheen. The thing is, when I do something like this, I mean, it's got to be all or nothing. I've taken everything off, everything's been unplugged, disconnected, and now I'm giving everything a proper good clean and a polish. You know, so when I put it back, I know what everything does. Everything will hopefully work. And it'll smell nice too. Little carved wooden cat that I bought at Reading Festival. I'm going back a few years there, I don't mind telling you. He goes there anyway, in front of my little high watt guitar practice amp, no doubt made in China. Right, this is the key to everything. It's my trusty NAD power amplifier, and that has to go slap bang in the middle, I would think. You've got to have a bit of symmetry with these things. That'll do. I've been tired of having this 12-volt plug socket thing just dangling off the back of the wall and hanging down behind everything. So I'm going to stick it back up again with some Velcro. It'll hold for a while. There. Actually, just a quick tip here. When you're connecting speaker wires, what you need to do is make sure that both your speakers are in phase. Now, I've got some typical speaker wire here. One of the pieces is marked with a black stripe on it. You probably can't see that from here. And the other piece isn't. But it's a fairly typical arrangement. All that matters, it doesn't matter whether the black stripe goes into the red or the black stripe goes into the black, as long as you're consistent. On the left channel I've put, which is it, the non-stripy one into the red. So I'm going to put the one with the black stripe into the black. It was just convenient to do it like that. Now you might say that, well, the black stripe means that it's the important wire, it's the positive wire, so it should go into the red. Or you might say that the black stripe means that it's a black wire, so it should go into the black. All that matters is just have some consistency. Doing exactly the same thing with the other wire. Black one into the black. And red one into the, well, unmarked one, let's say, into the red. In addition to that, on my wires, I've got a little piece of tape, a little piece of white electrical tape denotes the left-hand wire pair. A little piece of red tape denotes the right-hand wire pair. Similarly, on the other end where I have my speakers, I will put red and white tape on, or it could be black and white tape or black and red tape. Doesn't matter, as long as you know what it means. Red's typically right and white's typically left with these things. It's not a completely hard and fast rule, but you might as well just do it like that and then you know where you are. And the same with the wires at the other end. As long as I put both the black stripe wires into either the red or the black. Now it doesn't matter if they're both swapped around, it doesn't matter if I've got the black stripe one in the black here and the black stripe one in the red there. It doesn't matter if the wires cross over on the way, the speaker won't care. The speaker is electrically the same at either terminal, but what does matter that both speakers are wired the same. So if you've crossed the wires going up to one speaker, you cross the wires going up to the other speaker. That way both of your speakers will be in phase, so both speakers will be pushing and pulling at the same time. If they don't, they'll pull and push and pull like that. And what will happen is the sound won't be right. It will sound thin because some of the sounds that are the same on the left hand channel and the right hand channel, will tend to cancel out. They won't completely cancel out, things won't completely disappear because the sound's mixing in the room anyway and there are reflections of one thing and another. But just to say, if your audio system doesn't sound very well, if it sounds a bit thin and reedy, sounds like it's being played in a tunnel, something like that, just check your wires. Make sure you've got same to same. It's as simple as that. Right, the next thing I've got here is a little 12-volt inverter. It's only a tiny thing. It says 300 watts, although I probably wouldn't be happy trying to draw 300 watts from it. No, this sits here and it powers all my small electricals that live on this bench. So my little telly and the other bits and pieces which we'll come to. There's a TV aerial amplifier, a TV recorder box and a couple of other bits. Oh, and the power amp. And for that, I mean, I rarely have them all going full blast at once anyway, but for that, this is absolutely fine. And the reason I do that is that although the boat does have a full 240 volt mains electrical system throughout with a 3 kilowatt inverter to power it, I find that if you're just going to have a little bit of TV or a little bit of stereo, something like that, why have the large inverter running? Large inverters self-consume maybe several amps, depends on the model. Whereas this tiny little thing, it self-consumes, I believe it's about 300 milliamps, maybe 500 milliamps, half an amp. So that's a lot more economical to run. It saves wear and tear on the main inverter. And in any case, everything comes off this. So when I switch this inverter on, I'm ready to go. You know, my little bits and pieces here are ready to go. Ideally, you might say, well, why don't you have everything 12 volt, get a 12 volt TV and 12 volt stereo amp and 12 volt this, that and the other. And yes, you can do that, but it just so happens that some of my things could run off 12 volts, most of them can't. And so it's just easier for me. And I think this was about 15 quid on eBay. It's just a cheap Chinese thing, but it's been all right so far. Well, it seems like it's time for a little bit more Velcro again. I'm just going to stick this thing into place. It's a, what do you call it? A six mains thing. Just going to stick that in place and then, you know, save it falling down the back and getting all tangled up. I don't know what's happening here. Top tip, if you do buy your Velcro in a pound shop, don't be surprised if it all turns into a gunky mess after only a few years. Right, that bit's on. A bit about there, I think. I'm kind of wishing I'd started this a bit earlier in the day. I think it's going to take a while. The other things I have here are little TV recorder boxes, I think I mentioned already. These ones are by a company called TV-Onyx, and the good thing about them is that they do actually take a 12 volt supply right off the back. I'm running mine off the accompanying mains adapter because, as I've already said, I've got everything coming out of a little inverter. When I switch the little inverter on, then everything's ready to go. But if I wanted to, I could use these directly off the boat 12 volts. Now really, you shouldn't give them any more than 12 volts, so you probably want to put your boat 12 volts through some kind of voltage stabilizer, so that when you run the engine, you're not at 14.5 volts and blowing these things to bits. I mean, they might have some form of regulation inside, they might not, you take your chances. But I haven't bothered going the 12 volt route very much with any of the stuff on here, so it's just as easy to leave it plugged into the mains. If I wanted to leave this running overnight to record a late film, for example, it would be useful to switch it to the 12 volts. So that might be something I'll look at in the future, but for now I'm happy as I am. A happy lead is a tidy lead. This little thing's my Raspberry Pi. No, you can't eat it. It's just a tiny little computer, and you can load it with media software. In this case I've got something called Kodi, and so then if you connect a hard drive up and you've got like all your films and stuff that you've copied across from your DVDs and your music from your CDs, all that kind of thing, you can access it via this. Well, I won't say I've been at this for a long time, but it started getting dark outside. I've had to put the lights on for this video. But look at this. Quite a lot of things are cleaned and back in their place. I have my 2 PVR boxes. Why have I got 2? I don't really know. I think I had one and then I saw another one the same on eBay for, I don't know, for buttons almost. And I bought that, and I thought, oh, I can put one in the bedroom when I get a second TV, and then, you know, I have a setup in there as well. And for now I can have both of them, and if I want to record more than 2 programs, you know, something like that, I'm not even going to bother plugging one of them in for the moment. There's no point. So I've got those 2 little things. I've got some kind of BT view thing. I don't really know what it does. Someone gave it to me, and I mean, it's not a recorder or anything, it's just, I think you can just get the things online. And I have got fairly decent internet access as well, but I'll probably save that for another vlog actually, because that's a whole thing in itself. But suffice to say, I've got unlimited data and I've got a proper router that I can connect things to, so that's sort of quite good. But keeping with this, the amp's back in place, the TV's back in place, the little inverter that we already spoke about, the 2 PVRs, my little guitar practice amp. There's a big thing under here, you probably can't see it because everything's black. That's a subwoofer. I've got tiny speakers up there on the wall to save space, and a subwoofer on down here to waste the space that I would have saved. And what else is still to go back? I think just the aerial cable to plug in, and we're there. And voila, doesn't that look better?